Everyone loves a good year-end countdown. In 2024, there was some great new music. I'm going to walk you through my top 10 favorite albums of the year on this episode of Talking About Records. My name is G.I. Sanders from NTX Vinyl. Thanks for tuning in to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure and do that. You can also follow at NTX Vinyl on Facebook and Instagram. I'm excited to be here at the end of 2024 to talk about my favorite albums of the year. And like I mentioned, some really great music this year. I always see people online, whether it's here on YouTube or across social media, bitching about the lack of good new music that's out there, that they just don't make it like they used to. I gotta tell you, you're just not looking hard enough. You know, if you're just relying on the top of the charts to discover new music, you're really missing out. I'm going to talk you through my favorites from the year. These are just my top 10. There's a long list behind this of stuff that didn't make it into my top 10, but here we go. Let's count them down. Number 10 on my list, from Fort Worth, Texas. This is Leon from Leon Bridges. This one grew on me when it first came out. I wasn't listening to it a ton, kind of only skipped through it a little bit, but one of those that sinks in over time, a really great vibe. Obviously R&B, soul, a little bit of folk, a little bit of country even weaved in here, at least from an influence standpoint. This is Leon's, I think, fourth full-length album. Standout tracks on this to me are Ain't Got Nothing on You. That's probably my favorite. I also love Panther City, Peaceful Place, Can't Have It All. Just a really great record. Leon's that type of artist that kind of changes it up with each album. If you go back to his first record, it was very much like a 60s throwback, almost like a Sam Cooke, Otis Redding type of thing. His second record, Good Thing, was almost like more of a Michael Jackson vibe, a little more dance-oriented. Gold Diggers was his third one, and this one are more straight kind of R&B, I think. But just some really good songwriting. I'm excited to kind of follow Leon's career, and I think this is an excellent next step, and probably, I think, his real sound. I think he's getting close to figuring out who he is as a musician, what his voice is, and it just feels to me, from an outsider standpoint, as a fan, like he's kind of honing in on who he's going to be for the long term. And if this is where he's headed, that is really exciting to me. Love this record, and I love Leon Bridges. I think he's a great songwriter and a great modern artist. Definitely check this one out. Number 10 on my favorites of 2024. Number 9 on my list, kind of cheating because it's a live album, Jason Isbell, Live at the Ryman Volume 2. I just love Jason's last album, Weather Vanes. Him and the 400 Unit. It's still such a relevant album to me, even though it came out a year or two ago and was my number one album that year. But you got tracks like Save the World and King of Oklahoma, Strawberry Woman. You got a standout Tom Petty cover, Room at the Top. So good. Running with Our Eyes Closed, Dreamsicle, When We Were Close, This Ain't It. The set list is fantastic. Ryman is such an iconic venue. I really hope to visit someday, but this one's still on rotation. Absolutely love what Jason and the 400 Unit are doing these days, and I hope they keep after it. I'm really excited to hear what's coming next for him. So this is number 9 on my top albums from the year. Next on the list, Ala Sala from Krungbin. Such a cool vibe. I love this band. Almost completely instrumental. Another band from Texas, down from the Houston area, I believe. A trio on stage. Such a cool record. I just can't think of anything else to compare this to these days, at least not that's in kind of my realm of what I listen to. But this is just a cool one. I love this kind of orange and yellow swirl record they did. And they did a die cut on the cover as well, which I really appreciate. And it's just a cool record. Great instrumentation, really original stuff. If you're not familiar with Krungman, check them out. I've never seen them live, but I've watched plenty of stuff on YouTube, and they're such a fun band to watch, and so talented and so original. So check out Krungman. This one's another one that's been on rotation all throughout the year. The next one caught me off guard. I would not have expected it, but I guess I shouldn't be that surprised that Chris and Rich Robinson could come out with an old school Crows record. This is Happiness Bastards. Man, just kind of came out of nowhere. Not a lot of expectations from myself, but I can tell you, I'm looking for the track list, which isn't on there, but Cross Your Fingers is a great song. Bedside Manners, standout track for me is Rats and Clowns. What a fantastic rock track. I saw them live on this tour earlier in the year, and they do a great job of pulling these songs off live. Happiness Bastards, a true return to form for the Robinson brothers. I mean, it's not the full Crows lineup. You don't have Steve Gorman on drums, but I still really appreciate the songwriting. And again, I'm kind of excited to see where they take this. They're still touring behind this record, and rightfully so, because it's a great album, and definitely in my top 10 for the year. Next on the list, an artist that's kind of impossible to avoid in 2024. Jack White and No Name. Talk about a cool way to release an album and promote an album. Jack dropped this with no pre-promotion. It came out initially, I think they slipped copies into vault packages, unannounced. That made people go crazy for the record. Then he dropped an indie exclusive. Then he dropped the normal. And then he went on tour and got in a van with his band and announced shows within like 48 hours notice. And they sold out everywhere. Just incredible. And now he's got a big tour coming up in 2025. And it makes sense why, because this is a great album. It is the most White Stripes sounding material that Jack has written and recorded since he was in the White Stripes. I would say it's, if not his best solo album, it's definitely up there with probably with Lazaretto, I think, for me. No Name, this is just so good. Number One with a Bullet is a great track. Let me see what else stands out. Bless Yourself, That's How I'm Feeling. Bombing Out, What's the Rumpus, Old Scratch Blues. Just a great no frills rock record. It sounds like you're in the room listening to this. It sounds like a rock band, garage rock band, and that's what I love about it in 2024, that Jack White is still doing what he loves to do. No Name, check it out if you haven't heard this one. Number 5 on my top 10 faves of 2024, All Born Screaming, from another local artist from the Dallas area, St. Vincent. I love her so much. I love how she reinvents herself with every album. She thinks outside the box. She has no guardrails in what she will do as an artist, and this is a good example. One of her kind of heaviest albums, I guess you would say, and a complete departure from her last release, Daddy's Home. All Born Screaming reminds me of David Bowie and Nine Inch Nails and Depeche Mode and those types of bands. The sound she gets on this album. I haven't seen her live yet. I will next year when she comes to Dallas. But the live shows that she's released online and that people have captured just look fascinating. She's such a great performer, an amazing guitar player. I love the title track. It's definitely a standout. I also love Big Time Nothing and The Sweetest Fruit. But the whole album's great. Definitely check out All Born Screaming from St. Vincent. The next one on the list from one of my favorite artists from the last decade, and that is Sturgill Simpson. A true songwriter, a true artist. This is Passage des Jours. I'm probably butchering that name. Fantastic record. We just don't get enough music from Sturgill, but I get it. When it comes, it's good though. Who I Am. Scooter Blues is so fun. I think that the standout track for me is Mint Tea. I absolutely love Mint Tea. Sturgill's on tour, tearing it up live, performing a bunch of songs from this album and his whole career. But I love this record. I think it's a great step forward for him. He is another one of those artists who kind of reinvents himself with each and every twist and turn. Always excited to see what he does, and I think this is a great record to add to the Sturgill catalog. Kind of along the lines of what I said about the Black Crowes, I would not have expected this album to land on my top 10. I certainly would not have expected it to land at number 3. I Want Blood by Jerry Cantrell. Jerry's last record, Brighton, was okay. I didn't listen to it that much. Nothing really stood out to me. I need to go back and revisit it. Exactly the opposite with this album. From the minute I dropped the needle, I was really, really loving it. The first track, Vilified, is absolutely undeniable. Afterglow, the title track, I Want Blood, just so many good songs. If you're an Alice in Chains fan, I don't know how you don't love this record. So heavy, great riffs, great hooks. He brought back the greatness of Robert Trujillo and Mike Bourdain, which is an incredible duo, incredible trio that recorded on his first couple of solo records. So if you're not listening to I Want Blood, check it out. Probably the heaviest record that I've listened to all year in regards to that early 90s grungy sound, which I can never get enough of. I Want Blood, Jerry Cantrell, number 3 on my top 10 faves from the year. Number 2 on my list should surprise no one, or maybe you'll be surprised that it's not number 1. That is Dark Matter from Pearl Jam. I could talk about this album for this whole episode, but I won't. I will just say that for me, this album is the best music the band has written and recorded maybe since Yield. I love Binaural, I love Riot Act, I love Avocado. I could go through them. I can find joy in all of their albums. But when I think about songs like Upper Hand and Waiting for Stevie and Setting Sun and the title track, React Respond, I could go through the whole track list. It just hits hard. It's surprising to me this late in their career that they can create a record this well-rounded and this concise. I give a lot of credit to Andrew Watt for getting the band outside of their box, getting the band into a room to just record live together, which is an incredible thing. And the energy that came from it, I think really shows up on this record. As a Pearl Jam fan, I kind of like what I said about Jerry Cantrell. I can't imagine being a Pearl Jam fan and not loving this record because there is so much meat to it. The riffs, the lyrics, the melodies, the hooks, and all in all, just the consistency from one track to the next. There's no tracks on this that you want to skip through. I love them all. Dark Matter from Pearl Jam, my number 2 record of the year. Last but not least, my number 1 album of the year. We've had a couple kind of R&B soul. We had Leon Bridges, Khruangbin. We have plenty of rock records, of course. You got Sturgill Simpson in there with some country. And number 1 is also a country Americana record, and this is The Great American Bar Scene from Zach Bryan. Probably my most listened to album of the year along with Pearl Jam, Dark Matter. I was shocked by this album because I loved his last album so much. I thought there's no way he's going to be able to repeat that, but he has. Zach Bryan is one of those where it's an incredible story. The guy started out posting songs on Twitter, and all of a sudden now he's filling stadiums. It's the craziest phenomenon, aside from maybe Taylor Swift. But Taylor Swift had a big run up in her popularity. Zach Bryan came out of nowhere and has released so much music. This one, a double LP, which is packed with songs, is no different. The collaborations on this with, no names like Bruce Springsteen and John Mayer are absolutely phenomenal. The songs to me, like Ida, American Nights, title track, I just love all of them. I really do. Northern Thunder, could name the whole track list, but to me, it's just songwriting perfection. It's a guy who's got a lot to say right now, and he's putting it down, and he's releasing it as frequently and as fast as he wants, which is something you can do in this day and age. This came out streaming mid-year when he released it. The vinyl didn't come, obviously, until months later because it takes time to produce a physical product. But I'm glad I finally got it to spin, and it has been in rotation again pretty much throughout the whole back half of the year because it came out, I think, in July. A beautiful record that framed the summer for me and my family during a bunch of travel, which is a lot of what makes records meaningful for me is when I'm listening to them and where I'm listening to them. And the Great American Bar Scene will always hold a special place in my heart because we listen to it a ton as a family. And it's just a great record, beautiful songs. It's my #1 record of the year. So there you go. 2024 consisted of some amazing new music. This is just my top 10, my personal favorites. What did I miss? What's on your list? What do I need to go listen to that didn't make it into my top 10? Fill me in the comments. Appreciate you as always. We'll see you again on another episode talking about records.